And we're back. Hi, it's James again. We're still talking about Zapier. We're talking about apps that you should be using. And I got a real special one for you today. Actually, this is the same day as many other videos I'm recording, so I got a real special one for you at this particular moment. And as you can tell by the slide behind me, it's Google Sheets. Why is Google Sheets so great? Because I know all of you attorneys are still using spreadsheets for different side projects or little things you want to keep track of, or maybe you decide for this or that, I want to start tracking this or that. So these are great for any particular desires you may have for wanting to track something in a spreadsheet. And you can see right here, everyone gets a spreadsheet. All right, so let's talk about some of the actions first listed at the top of the screen here. For the actions, for example, when you create a new contact in Prima Facie, when you create a new case in Prima Facie, when you create a new task, when you finish a task, when you do any of those things, you can start to create a list. So, for example, if you wanted to start tracking tasks that you do on the case, or tracking notes, or tracking any little thing that happens in Prima for your particular case, you can do that through a series of zaps here. So, those will be some of the actions. So anything that happens in Prima, you could start to keep a list of it. And that's cool. It really is. Now, the other thing that's cool is some of the triggers that you can set up with Google Sheets. So a couple of the common ones are when you create a new sheet, or if you create a new sheet or a workbook, or if you create a new, what's it called, the sub sheet inside the sheet. I think it's it's a tab at the bottom. When you create those new things, you can have that trigger in action. But the coolest one that exists right now is when you add a new row to a given spreadsheet. Zapier can take that whole row of data and do whatever you want with it, right? Whatever the other apps permit. If you update information in a row, you can have that also act as a trigger. So those are some pretty neat things you can do. Now let's put on our thinking caps, or our thinking sunglasses, as it were. If I can control a Google spreadsheet, and if I can control data that goes into Prima Facie, then suppose I have a list of my contacts from when I used a different software, and I want to save those contacts' information inside Prima Facie. Can I do it? Now you're using your thinking cap, because the answer is yes. What you need to do is you'll need to trigger a huge number of those rows at the same time by pasting them into a spreadsheet, so that you can use this new row added, and then that's the trigger. And when you add a new row, it's going to take all that data and put it where it needs to go inside Prima. So yeah, you can be creating contacts and addresses and all that stuff. And that's pretty fancy. Now, it's also pretty powerful. And because it's powerful, you must use great responsibility. What I mean by that is, depending on how cheap you are and on what type of Zapier account you have, you may have some sort of limit of how many zaps you can run or how many times you can run. If you misalign something, if you disorganize something before you do the massive import, you may use up a lot of your quota for the month, and you may have to pay a little extra that month so that you can run that again if you need to. So test with a small number first, then run the real deal through once we know that it works fine. So let's pick one of these to do here. I got a couple good ones. Let's say that we want to add an entry on a spreadsheet for every new task, for every task that's assigned, and for every task then that is completed and commented. So let's do that. Let's take a look. I'm going to close this. I'm going to go into my Zapier account. And we're going to go back to my dashboard. And we're going to go to our Zapier account here. Nope, our Zapier testing account, actually. And let's just go to make a zap. That'll put it in this folder that we're dealing with. All right, so when we have a new task assigned in Prima, we want an entry on that spreadsheet. So Prima Facie is going to be the trigger. Prima new task to sheet. And we're going to search for Prima here, Prima Facie. And it's going to be assigned task. So this would be when a new task is assigned. We're going to save and continue. We're going to choose this account. Of course, you have one account, so it's going to be easy to fly through this. You just choose the same account every time. There we go. We're going to pull in that task. Let's look and make sure there's some data in there. Yep, it's adjective. Forgot an email address. We're going to use that. Excuse me. And now we need an action. So let's add a step. We're going to just add an action. And Google Sheets. Now, of course, you can see there's Smart Sheet, Zoho Sheet, Schedule It. If you look up Airtable or whatever else, I mean, we're talking about general principles here and getting you used to using Zapier. You can do this same type of thing in any of those programs. So we're going to go to Google Sheets, and we're going to create a spreadsheet row. Before we do that, let me pause the video. I'm just going to go create a sample spreadsheet for us to use. Just one. Okay, so now I've created a sheet, so we're good to go forward. So we're going to create a spreadsheet row in a specific spreadsheet. Okay, let's go to save and continue. And we're going to use that account. And we're going to set up the spreadsheet. I might have to blur out some stuff here, guys. Here we go. Prima tasks to Zapier. That's what we're going to use. And worksheets, just sheet number 1. Okay, so the spreadsheet is the big one. The worksheet is one of the little sub sheets inside of the Google Sheet. So sheet 1 is where we're working. All right, so client ID. These are the options that I create, or the fields that I created in the spreadsheet, right? So if I go here, you'll see those are the column headings I put in there. I'll put this here just for simplicity's sake. But now we're going to go back to here, and we're going to match these up. So the client ID is going to come from the assigned task, and we'll do, ID, case ID, contact ID. Okay, this is the terminology. The first name, let's just search here for contact first name. Last name, I'm going to assume that's going to be contact last name. The subject of the task, is it subject? Oh, no, we can't do that. We got to search. Scroll down here. Subject right there. The description, so if we want the body of the task, it's that one. Let's see if we can add some comments. There we go. If there were any comments on the task. Oh, there's a bunch of comments actually. So let's pull this one, comma, and let's pull in this other comment here. So it's going to pull the first couple of them anyway. Okay. Date. Let's do the date here. Just find a date field. The date it was created. Yep, this will be right. The user it was assigned to. Let's look for user ID. Oh, I got a. Did I search? USE. Assigned user middle name, user ID. Assigned user email. Let's go by that. And the status. Scroll down so we can see more options here. Case status ID. Case type ID. Status ID is going to be the right one. Not case status ID. It's going to be the status ID for this task. That's what we want. Okay, and we'll click continue. All right, so this would gather all the tasks that get assigned in this Prima account that we've got here. Let's send a test to the Google Sheets. And let's see, is it going to work? It was sent just now. There we go. See, it typed it in for us there. How cool is that, right? So you can really start gathering data in fun ways with this. Very much fun. Very much fun. All right, so what else does that mean? Let's take a look again here. What if we wanted to modify this? What if we wanted to say, you know what? I want to do a new worksheet for every contact, or I only want to gather the information from this 1 or 2 contacts, right? You can add filter. So do the assigned task, and then you can say filter, only let it proceed if the first name exactly matches BAT. Then anyone with the first name of BAT, which I'm assuming there would only be one in your database, it would only pull those tasks. So you could say, if you want to go by something more accurate, you would use the contact ID number. So only tasks for this contact, and the contact ID for him is, you know, whatever it is. You would put his number here. I don't know if it was 3. Is that what we saw? Contact ID. Yeah, his contact ID was 3. So if it exactly matches that, and its number, let's see, number greater than less than. No, we can do text. Exactly matches 3. Yep, and it would have continued because that's what our test data was for. Then you can do that too. So if you want to track everything that everyone's doing in your firm and get it in a spreadsheet or a report after 1 week, you can set up that Zap, and you could set up then a Zap for, just like we did for this one here, assigned task. Great. Now go to your dashboard. Well, turn it on. And it's going to turn on the Zap. It always takes a second for that to do that. But then you go create another Zap to check every time somebody creates a note, every time somebody creates a contact or a case or completes a task or comments on a task or comments on a phone call or creates a phone call record. You can start to see productivity of your staff there. So if there's some doubt in your mind, or you just want to see how much stuff is getting done, how much they're using the system, that's a great way to track it. It's to set up a spreadsheet, and you can start doing that. Of course, the more advanced example we could use here is using a spreadsheet to import data into your account. I think I am going to do that, but I want to practice with it a little bit more first. But at least this gets you into using Google Sheets. All right, so my name is James Betzel. We've been talking about Zapier, Prima Facie, and Google Sheets. Prima Facie is your solution for modern immigration case management. We're built to integrate. We're built to integrate with all the best tools out there: Clio, Practice Panther, and the 1,400 apps supported by Zapier. So stay tuned for more apps that we're going to go over. We're going to show you how to create these Zaps so you can be comfortable with it. Have a great day.